Hey everybody, what is up? Thank you all for joining me and my special guest River West today. We're going to be talking about a pretty big issue in the photography industry, and that is anxiety. And I have worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photographers, and almost all of them mention that anxiety is something that hinders them in their business, something that hinders them in interacting with their clients. Sometimes it creates, in my experience, it creates what I call paralysis of the mind, where you literally cannot um, do the things that you know you need to do in your business, in your life. Um, and I want to help y'all with that today. And I know River does too. And so that's what we're going to do. Why am I talking about this? Well, I have pretty serious anxiety and I have my whole life. I grew up in a pretty emotionally abusive home. And I ended up finding an outlet through sports, and that became my life for about 20 years. I ended up wrestling in high school, and that became my life. Then I ended up wrestling in college. So I've had this really competitive mindset most of my life that has been a big response to my anxious life, but also it has created a lot more anxiety in me than I realized. Other things that from my past that have created anxiety in me. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years and went to Iraq. I saw my friends. I had friends that did not come back. And while I was over there, my wife at the time was cheating on me, and then she ended up doing it again a couple years later. So, and then even after that, I had two kids with the same person. And, I'm also a public school teacher as well as a full-time wedding photographer. My two kids live with me full time. I have 3 or 4 different businesses at any given moment running. Have tons and tons of emails and messages and events that I have going on in my life that cause anxiety. All these things that I'm mentioning create a ton of anxiety. And so how the heck do we deal with this stuff? How do I deal with this stuff? I personally, really quickly before I bring River on, I personally have totally transformed and redesigned my life because of anxiety, honestly, because I realized that anxiety was a response to my own lack of confidence. I didn't realize that I was going into a shoot and I had so much anxiety in my belly and feeling it in my back and my neck and even my breath, not being able to breathe, that I wasn't able to perform my job the way that I envisioned myself doing it. So I had to come up with techniques. And so some things that I do, I wake up in the morning really early. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I make my bed, do some research on that. It's very good for you to make your bed, do something productive in the morning. I always exercise. I always do run or yoga or hit stuff. I always make myself and my kids breakfast every day. I do yoga and meditate every day. This is all before the sun comes up. And then, my kids go to school, and then I have about an hour before I have to go teach teenagers. So I've dedicated that hour to spend on my community that I am building called Creative Commonwealth. And then I go to school and teach teenagers for 4 hours. And then I'm, depending on the day, I may have a small break and then my kids come home. Maybe I play with them. I likely am making them dinner. And then get them in bed, and then I have maybe an hour before I get in bed before 10 every night, and it all kind of starts over. That's my normal day. And somehow I have to mix in being a wedding photographer, being a good dad, into all that, being a healthy person. Another thing is I had to completely change the way that I eat. I realized that a lot of the foods that I was eating and putting inside my body were a cause of a lot of my high anxiety situations. So I really had to redesign that too. So some of those are things that you can actually implement right now that I've implemented. After this chat, if you have questions about any of those things that I just said, message me and I'll be happy to chat with you. Do something for me really quickly. If you think that you have a photographer friend that also has anxiety and this chat will help them, if you'll just click that share button, if you're in Crowdcast, and you'll just share that with them, or share it on your Facebook, share it in your Facebook groups, or email it to a friend, whatever, however you communicate with your friends, share it with them. That'll be amazing. It's only going to help everyone in our industry, and it's going to chill us all out if we can all just discuss this more. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'm really excited to bring River West on. River is from Georgia, here in the States, and she is also a vibrant member of Creative Commonwealth, the community that I'm building, and she is helping so many people there. And that's the reason why I asked her to have this conversation today, is because she's just been so helpful in creating a positive, caring environment where she demonstrates mutual concern. So I'm going to go ahead and bring River up, and then we're going to chat with her. So thankful for y'all up there commenting. Thank y'all. Appreciate that. If you have questions about anything, just leave it in the comment area and we will get to it quickly. Hey, River, what is up?
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. Hi, Mark. Hi, everybody.
Cool. So tell us where you are, what you're doing right now, and
Okay.
What is it?
I'm on planet Earth. I'm in my office. I'm drinking some tea. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to my friends here who have joined. I'm really excited to share.
Cool. I'm so excited to have you. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, of course.
For us all. It seems like a lot of people are not only resonating with this topic, but a lot of people are straight up saying, hey, I have anxiety too, and I need help, and I'm a photographer. And it's pretty wild. Why do you think that anxiety in our industry is so prevalent right now?
Because anxiety is just a problem for like the whole Western world. So, I mean, like, I don't know anyone who's like, yeah, I don't have a problem. I have no anxiety ever. Yeah. So it's like an issue that's facing us as just a like country and just like a modern problem. But as photographers, we're artists, and artists, I think, tend to be really self-critical.
Right.
And that's something that can be worsened if you've got anxiety. So really fun stuff.
So backing up just a quick second, can you tell us about your come up? And I know you've been a professional photographer for 10 years. Can you tell us about your come up and where you came from, and some of those significant stories that kind of led to your mindset today?
Yeah, so I'm a photographer by accident. I would have never, like, if you handed me a sheet that said these are the careers that you could pick from, I would have like run the opposite direction of anything that required me to like interact with people, be in big groups, or really like run anything by myself, because I was like, I didn't have the self-confidence for that. So like I said, it was an accident. I got a degree in English with a minor in graphic design. And I picked those just because they seemed like things that I could do, not that I was passionate about them really. And I got a job right out of college at a photography studio doing retouching on the images. Okay. And he ended up taking me as a second photographer to a wedding, just because, like, I guess I was like the only option.
Mm.
because I don't know why else he would have taken me. I didn't even know how to use my camera at that point. You know, I had a little tiny Rebel, um, and I didn't know how to, you know, I was shooting an auto at the time.
Hmm.
So I
You
went
shot
along
your
and I was like,
your
oh, this
first
is really
wedding.
cool.
You shot your first wedding on a Rebel.
Yeah, yeah, yes. I think I shot with that body for like a year or something professionally. Whoops. But yeah, so I basically started realizing I liked photography when I was working at this studio,
Hmm.
and people started asking me because they saw that I did, you know, a wedding because I posted pictures of it because I was like, look how cool, you guys.
Yeah.
And so some of my friends started asking, would you do like family pictures? Would you do blah, blah, blah? And then somebody that I didn't even know, who was like friend of a friend of a friend, was getting married and wanted a photographer. And they hired me for $300.
Hmm.
And that was my first wedding in January of 2009. Yeah. And oh my God, I couldn't sleep the night before the wedding. I was like feeling sick. I was trying to think of excuses of like, how can I get out of this? Why did I agree to this? What am I doing? Because I mean, I was in full on panic mode. And, you know, I would love to talk about honestly, like how anxiety looked like for me, like
Please
back
do.
then and how it is now. Um, I was an extremely anxious kid and teenager. I was homeschooled grades 0 to 12.
Hmm.
So I was isolated for grades 0 to 12. And then all of a sudden, just like put into college. And I didn't know how to do anything. I was realizing, wow, my education wasn't what everyone else's was. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to look people in the eye. I couldn't call like the pizza's place and order a pizza because that was way too much for me.
Huh.
That the thought of that would send me into like panic.
Hmm.
So, you know, now, of course, I still feel anxiety. It's a natural human emotion, but it doesn't like rule my life anymore. And I had to get brave by being a photographer,
Yeah.
going into, you know, new places, meeting new people, and working with them. So
How did you learn how to be brave?
bravery to me looks easy from the outside, but then when you're in it, it's like it's terrifying. But you do the thing anyway.
Hmm.
And sometimes you can't do it the way you wish you could. But to me, like small steps are what count, and being kind to yourself even when you don't like hit the goal the way you want it to, because there's still plenty of time ahead of you to achieve those goals. Maybe today wasn't that day. Anxiety really wants to make you feel worthless.
How, what are some ways that you're kind to yourself?
A lot of it is self-talk. um, you know, we talk to ourselves in ways we would never let somebody else talk to us.
Hmm.
And when you realize that and start really listening to yourself, you can kind of talk back to anxiety and, you know, tell it, stop that, sit down, shut up, you're a fool, I'm okay, I
Yeah.
don't need you ruining my day. And it's not always that easy, but it's a lot of practice. So honestly, being kind to myself can look like the usual stuff you see on, like, I don't know, Pinterest and Instagram, like, yeah, a fruity bubble bath, or, you know, I'm going to eat a whole pizza. But also it's like looking out for your future self,
Hmm.
doing things today that are going to put you in a good place tomorrow. And that could be financially, that could be health wise, it could be a lot of different ways for different people.
Um, how did you learn that?
Therapy, a lot of therapy, which
So did you
I,
go to therapist like once a month, once a week?
at different points in my life, it was very intense to
Hmm.
match some stuff that I was going through. Like there was one time that I was going twice a week, and then I was in a recovery group and going to meetings whenever I could fit them in. So like that would be 1 to 3 to 4 times a week that I was going to that,
Wow.
and it changed things. It changed things. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. I didn't love it. in the moment, but it really did good things for me. And that was an act of kindness for myself, of kind of, being my own parent. Go to that thing, River, do that thing, and just, get through it. And you can't stay at home. No, you can't just, oh, but I don't want to. Okay, you don't want to, but you're still going to.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I can relate and resonate with that completely. Where it's like, and you described it on your first wedding the night before. It's probably the same feeling. It's like
Yeah.
damn it, I have this thing I've committed to. I know that it's going to be a positive thing for my life, but I want to cancel it so
Yes.
I don't want to do it. I'm so scared. And what's funny is every single time I feel that way, when I actually do the thing, I feel so good.
Yes.
Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
Well, I think that that's an act of bravery right there, of like having these bad feelings and doing the thing. Because next time I think it'll be a little easier, and then a little easier, a little easier. And you're building your self confidence. And I don't know, you're just really doing great things for your future self and your current self by following through.
So you're a member of Creative Commonwealth, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
so grateful that you're there. The other day you were responding to somebody else's challenge, I believe, and you said focusing on fear doesn't get us far. Can you talk
Mm-hmm.
about what you meant by that a little bit more in the photography industry?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So our mindsets are everything. I think it was Buddha. He said, "What a man thinks, he becomes,"
Hmm.
and that's so true. Like whatever we focus on is what we're going to get more of. So if you just think, "I'm not good enough, I suck, this is bad," blah blah, if you keep going down that road, well, you're moving in a direction.
Hmm.
So what direction is that? It's a negative one. It's not going to get you good places to think that way.
Yeah.
So if you can focus on the positives, if you can tell yourself the full story, then you're going to go a lot further. And what I mean by tell yourself the full story, this is what one of my therapists would say to me, because I would say one comment, like a doomsday comment about like, my life is awful,
Hmm.
or nobody loves me, or whatever. And she would, look at me and say, you know, tell yourself the full story now. Like that is not the beginning, middle, and end. What else? And that's the same about our fears. Like maybe an example would be, I'm a bad photographer.
Hmm.
Well, if I'm a bad photographer, why is it that when I look through my images from a few months ago, I like them and they're good? Why is it that people still hire me and I've been in business for, 10 years? So a lot of times you have to sort of debate yourself.
Hmm.
You have to counter yourself. Like anxiety is this little punk ass kid who wants to run his or her mouth, and tell you all this BS that, you can either kind of like listen to or say, wait a minute, no, I don't think so.
Hmm.
And here's why. So
Um,
yeah.
that is a really interesting perspective. I like to sometimes I see my anxiety as my ego, that that story person that I've created that isn't real. Let me jump to the question polls here. So
Yeah.
Danae asked, how do you deal with social media anxiety, answering emails, posting regularly, responding to an overload of messages?
Yeah. So for me, priority one is always going to be responding to clients who have emailed me, who have texted me, who have called. Like that's priority one. Anything else is like filler. I have no idea how often I post on my Instagram or how often I post on my Facebook, and I don't worry about it. And I have in the past, but to me, it's just something extra that is adding to the chaos that like who else is out there like waiting on me, like when are you going to post again, when are you going to post again? Like, I mean, people probably, of course they notice when I post, but they're not, like up my butt about it. Why am I up my butt about it? Let me respond to my inquiries. Let me just like do that when I have a chance. I don't think that that's worth like giving yourself hell over,
Right.
honestly.
Right. I used to be the person. Well, when I first started my business 5 years ago, I was the person who really pushed, posting daily. And I will say that I credit a lot of my success now to that, but I I can't do that now. And I think that it's it's something for us to remember. I forget who said it, but it's the thing that what got what got you here isn't going to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
Where you
Yeah.
want to be. And I really had to realize that recently. And I actually have completely stopped caring about Instagram and Facebook in the business sense. Like, I'm completely fine with not posting anymore. And except maybe once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks on my Instagram now. And I'm totally fine with that. Why? Because I don't book clients on Instagram.
Yeah.
Where do I book clients? From Google. So what am I doing? Every few days, I'm posting in Google Plus. I'm making sure my blogs are consistent. That's where my clients come. So
Yeah, and I never do that. I never post in Google Plus, and I'm still, booking clients sometimes from Instagram.
mm,
And who knows why? Like, I don't really know. But to speak to Sarah's question again,
mm,
there's some softwares out there that would make like pre-planning, and you take one day out of the month to do it, and then it's done for a month. And I think it's called Planly. Kevin uses it, and he swears by it. I just kind of do it whenever I feel like it, because that's just who I am. I'm like, how about now?
sure, sure.
But I used to really hold myself to really strict ideas about, like, I have to post every day. I have to do this. I have to do that. And then I realized it wasn't working for me. And
Yeah.
then I was kind of creating my own problem there. So for me, the right answer was, let me just do what doesn't cause me emotional distress.
What makes you feel good?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you figure that out, that was the most healthy, positive choice for you, though?
Just getting older and trusting myself more, I think. Like, I was a consummate, dictionary definition people pleaser, and everything else, or everything in my life, was about everyone else.
Hmm.
And, are they happy? Do they like that? Does that gonna, nothing really, it's like I didn't really value my own opinion as much as I did others. And I'm at a place in life where I feel much more equally balanced there. And I actually do trust myself and trust my own opinion. And I feel okay about, what I do, what I don't do. And I don't need somebody else to tell me it's okay or not. So I think that's probably, that came from therapy. So,
Yeah, I've been in therapy for about 4 years, and I would say a big part of my confidence to address my anxiety was from that too. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, having somebody that you pay to point out the things that you're saying, and then,
Yeah.
like you were saying, the inconsistencies, or hey, also let's put this other information in here and let your brain chew on it along with the stuff that's
Yeah.
creating anxiety too. Um,
Yeah.
you said in Creative Commonwealth, in another comment, you said, when I feel anxiety now, I look to see specifically what my anxiety is about. What did you mean by that? Well, how do you find out what your anxiety is about? And what do you think our
Mm.
anxiety is about?
So there's a lot of different causes sometimes. It could be there's not a lot of money in the bank account. It could be that you're arguing with your significant other. It could be that you have gained weight and don't feel right in your body, or anything like that can be giving you a general feeling of like anxiety.
Sure.
And I don't know, if you're feeling some kind of way, I feel like you can take a second, slow down, and ask yourself questions about why. And then once you know the why, you can start the work of like calming yourself down or finding a new way of doing things, so that you don't necessarily just kind of get run by your feelings. And feelings are feelings. We can't help what we feel, but we can choose how we respond to our feelings and kind of like guide and direct our thoughts. After that, we can't really control what pops into our minds, but we can always respond like with a more cognizant way. Like if something just pops into my mind, I don't need to just let that be all that happens. I can talk back to that. I can decide, I don't agree.
Sure. Um, in the beginning, I shared some of my like daily things that I do to help with anxiety. What are some things uh, almost every day that you do in your routine in your life that you do to head off anxiety?
So I am the total opposite of you in that I wish I could be, structured and do things like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I would love to be that person,
Mm,
but I just never will be. And I realized that and just kind of like forgiven myself for not being able to be that way
mhm,
and accepted just kind of how I am. And I work with each day as it comes. Um, I don't know. It's just like for me, I try to just accept myself every day as it comes type thing.
mm,
And one thing that I do daily is just like spend time with my dog, you know, try and eat something that is going to be good for me. Include some plants
mhm.
in one of the three meals, things like that. Nothing crazy, nothing thought out, nothing really. There's no pattern really,
Yeah.
except I try each day to find a way, not a way that I've thought of necessarily beforehand, but just to do something good for myself. So it's kind of like that doesn't really answer your question, but
It does. No, it does. It's you really described that you're being intentional about how you're living and you're being present and you're saying, "Hey, I'm gonna try to eat plant-based a little more. I'm gonna try to spend more time with my furry friends so I feel better and happier."
hmm hmm
Yeah, I think that's what I call intentions, and
cool.
um, I think it definitely does answer that question. And very cool. Let me see. There's something else interesting you said in Creative Commonwealth. You said I talk, and you already said this, but you said that you used to talk too much and you faked confidence with your clients
Oh yeah.
and you said because I didn't want my clients doubting my abilities. And
Yeah.
I think that statement is probably one that people will resonate with more than anything. It's that we don't want our clients and our colleagues, each other, to see that we're not, or to see us for who we actually are, to see our come up, see
hmm
the fact that we don't know everything already.
Right.
And can you talk about that time in your life and what are some things you did to respond to that?
Yeah, when I first started shooting, I honestly feel like I probably came across really spastic, really squirrel like maybe because I was trying to be like at every single moment giving good direction, giving good ideas. And like I was worried. I was really worried that my clients were going to be like, this girl's an idiot, doesn't know what she's doing. Why are we even paying her to take our photo? Like that was what's going on in my mind. I just couldn't relax. I would act relaxed, but in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to act like I know what I'm doing, where I'm going, where I'm going to take them. Like there was no room for like exploring it all. Yeah. And for some reason, Mark, you're muted. Hold on.
It was on me.
There you go.
What I was saying is that stuff, like, I was just trying to picture myself in that moment because I still get that too. You feel tense, like you're stressed out, but you look fine, and
Yeah.
but your brain can't think creatively in those moments, or mine
Oh
can't.
yeah, you'll get like landlocked. hmm I literally have started. Sometimes I'll be like, guys, I need a second to think. Go sit over there. And like they'll get bored and I start to get inspired again by just how they're interacting. And I don't feel like ashamed at all of like showing my cards of being a real human who doesn't have this mastermind idea in my head every time. I've just changed my approach. I've changed my mindset. I've changed how I think a photo shoot should go, and
Mm,
that's made the difference.
for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, it's interesting. We a lot of the courses we watch and a lot of the workshops we go to, we try to mimic those things, and I think that's fine in the beginning for a time. And I was just talking about these yesterday with my teenagers, actually. I was talking about innovating and how we gain confidence in art. And it's through initially mimicking and copying other people, but what happens is we have to take that pretty quickly. Once we master that copy, that mimic, we have to take that and we have to add our flavor as much as we can, as quick as we can, and add our style, because we know that we're copying someone else and doing what they're doing. It's necessary. It's important to do that. It's not wrong. It's a good thing. I had to say that out loud because people are like, no. But that's one of those things I think that we can boost getting over that initial feeling of anxiety in our businesses, in our personal lives, in our relationships, where, just find somebody that's successful, find somebody who's doing what you want to do and try to copy them and then innovate it,
Yeah. I love what Brian just said down there. I think by focusing on what naturally flows out of me, that's what he says. And I honestly think that's the best approach. Like, whoever we are as a photographer is our strongest, like, power, our superpower is who we are as people, and harnessing that in a way that will produce amazing photographs. Now, I mean, some clients do need more coaching and they'll feel more comfortable if you kind of put on a little bit, maybe. But to me, it's all about just kind of educating my clients about like what they need to do for me to create good images. And that is relax with each other. Don't be aware of the camera. If I yell at you, look over here, but it's more like we're hanging out and I'm your paparazzi a little bit.
Sure.
So, I don't know. To me, I was very frustrated for a while with the disconnect between what I wanted to create and what I was creating. So, and it came out of anxiety that I couldn't figure out, how to move past that and get where I wanted to go.
Sure. I think a lot of times we try to do all this stuff on our own. We try to deal with our anxiety completely alone and solo. I know that's what I've done for the majority of my business and my career, is think that I can do it on my own. And that was true to a certain extent. But there was one point where I was like, okay, I have to involve other people. I have to say this stuff out loud. I have to find out if other people are feeling this way. Was there an experience along your journey in the past 10 years where you thought that and was like, damn, I need other people? And then how did you respond to that?
I'm really not too sure about that. I've always been kind of more of a lone wolf in the way that I handle things. And it's no wonder because, homeschooled 0 to 12, like I'm not going to be some social butterfly.
Right.
That being said, I've had to get myself through some really tough stuff, but I did learn to lean on others for support through what I was going through. And honestly, I would say maybe the recovery group setting really taught me about community of support, but without like all these like violating boundary, weird dynamics that maybe my family of origin taught me. So, yeah, to me, I still don't always necessarily agree with like involving a ton of people and stuff. Like for me and my anxiety, I wish somebody would come along and just hand me, like a magical, okay, you don't feel bad anymore and you can do stuff easily.
Yep.
But that was all on me. And maybe that was the scariest part, is being like, well, that means I have to get up and do something about this. I didn't want that to be the case.
Isn't that so interesting? Is like when you get to that point where you're like, oh, damn, other people probably caused this, but it is all my responsibility. That person that treated me that way, that person that cheated on me, that person that I thought this bad thing about me, even though it's all true, like it's our responsibility to fix it, or at least take action to fix it. That's incredible. Thank you so much. Well, I think we covered everything that I had. Do you have anything else to say about anxiety in our industry and your experiences?
Yeah. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that they're not alone, that so many people are going through exactly what you're facing every day.
Yeah.
And, we have to remember that the outside does not match the inside. We're on social media a lot and everyone looks like they've got it together and everything's great, but that's not necessarily reality. And comparison will really F you up. Okay. So, like, let's stop comparing ourselves to others and be kind to ourselves. I think that's really like part of the answer for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. River, thank you so much for taking time out of your really busy and wild schedule to help our industry, to help other photographers, to give back. It's really admirable, and I really appreciate it. And if you're watching and listening out there, if this was helpful to you, please share it with your people. And if this was super duper helpful to you, you might be a good candidate to join the community that River's in, that I started. It's called Creative Commonwealth. You can actually click on the call to action button down at the bottom of the Crowdcast event up here and go check out more information. River, really quickly, what's one thing that you've gotten out of Creative Commonwealth?
Oh gosh, no pressure. It's a more positive community. I don't actually like to be in communities of photographers typically because of all the drama and the toxicity and just like the nonsense. But I feel like this has been a little bit different. And I am like kind of like slow to warm up, but I'm enjoying what I'm finding. So thank you, Mark, for fostering that great community for us.
You're welcome. And if you are watching and you're interested, contact me or River and ask us about the community. It's right now it's $99 a year, and that'll be going up to $199 at the end of the year. So if you go ahead and join, you'll be locked in for a lifetime of being part of our amazing community. We have small group masterminds with topics like client experience, mental health, finding your ideal client, and one of the most popular ones, which is empowering female photography recently too. And so if any of those topics interest you, then maybe join us. And thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you, River. And if you're watching this after we broadcasted, you can still share this at any time. It will be live forever. So please do that. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, River. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.